Welcome to the Wiser Talk, produced by Avinanda Ghosh Software Solutions, the premier low-code company of India. Our host today is Avinanda Ghosh, a veteran of the financial services sector in India with over 30 years of experience. He culminated his service career as the CFO, CIO, and CISO of a public sector general insurance company. Mr. Ghosh is a low-code evangelist and is presently an advisor to Avinanda Ghosh.
A sunny good afternoon to all my dear viewers. I'm delighted to invite you to my chat room today to meet a very old and dear friend of mine, Peter Chittaranjan. Peter Chittaranjan is a Tamilian by birth, but he was born in Jorhat in Assam and he was brought up in Shillong in Meghalaya. He's a child of the Northeast, the land of the Blue Hills and the Red River. Peter Chittaranjan is an insurance man. He has, unlike many of his peers who have hopped, skipped, and jumped across companies and even industries, he has stayed true, bound to, and beholden to a single public sector general insurance company, the National Insurance Company Limited, of which he is presently the general manager. Peter is now running his 35th year in national insurance. He spent the first 2.5 decades in the Northeast. Those days, they were designated the difficult region, and he spent it in various offices, divisional offices, and finally to the regional office at Guwahati. And his accomplishments, his performance pulled him to the head office of National Insurance in Kolkata, where he served in various departments and verticals. On his promotion as Deputy General Manager, he was given the charge of the Bengaluru Regional Office, which hosts some of the biggest corporate clients of national insurance. In fact, if I want to name a few, Infosys, Amazon, Sony, and he managed them all. On his elevation to the post of General Manager, Peter came back to the head office at Kolkata, and at present, he handles the Infotech department, the Research and Development department, the digital marketing function, and the All India Auto tie-up function. In fact, in his climb up the corporate ladder, Peter has spearheaded some of the crowning corporate challenges and initiatives, like in the early days, the rollout of computerization itself in the Northeast, in that remote Northeast region. And later from head office, the All India Motor Strategic Tie-Up Initiative. Peter Chittaranjan's personality and character mirror his physical appearance, standing tall at 6 feet 2. He is an avid traveler, a photographer par excellence, a music aficionado, an indulgent philatelist, and a numismatics practitioner, and also a passionate sportsman. And in case you're wondering what his favorite sport is, then look no further for clues than his very career in insurance. After all, a man whose career has been spent dabbling in uncertainty, what game could attract him more than the game of glorious uncertainties? Cricket. Hello and welcome, Peter. It's so nice to see you in person, though, of course, virtually, after a long, long time. Whenever we meet, I seem to be transported back to the good old days, an earlier era, when we were greenhorns in the industry and we were still finding our feet in this very complex world of general insurance. Those were the early days, the pre-computerized days, the primitive days, if I may say. and and we functioned in a very, very manual manner with huge ledgers and registers and whatnot. Now I remember that at that time, India, not insurance, India itself was just getting to be computerized. Computers were taking baby steps in our country, and with all the other industries, all the other companies, our industry was also taking the first steps towards computerization. And I remember also that more than all of us, you, you being the young officer in your company, you were given the most unique, and if I thought it was an onerous challenge to bring computerization to that remote northeast region, northeast part of the country. It was such a unique challenge. I remember I just hearing about it, I used to get scared a little bit, but you were always reveling in that challenge, and you really geared up to the whole thing and brought computers to the northeast in your organization. Means I'd like to relive those days, and if you can take me down that memory lane and recount your experience of how you could bring the light of digitization in your organization to that remote corner of the country.
How wonderful to connect with you again, Avinanda. And you've given me such a warm and generous introduction. Uh, I think our choice of career, our friendship, it truly goes back a long way. From cricket to numismatics, our interests have matched. And here we are now on the topic of IT. And like you said, my first place of posting immediately after our batch induction training was to the Northeast. And that is, I'm talking about way back 1987.
Yes.
We had just barely started our career. I was maybe a year into the company when we were informed by our head office about this very ambitious plan for computerization. Uh, Northeast, from all the regions that was there in the company, was designated as a difficult zone to start with, made additionally so by the fact that there were 7 states with many of our offices
Yes.
located in remote areas. And
Yes.
apart from logistic challenges, Avinan, there was also the aspect, I think you would remember, of political unrest in some of the states
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
and violent
Those were the days.
insurrection in others. So it truly was something which was going to be something massive when you're talking about a plan like that. And I must
Yeah.
tell you that the story of computerization in our company is the story of overcoming challenges and and quite a few challenges. It all started with the fact that there was a lot of resistance from employees and associations to the fact that these computers may jeopardize careers, may jeopardize jobs, may stop recruitment. There was so much fear and anxiety in those initial days from all concerned. Uh, there was also the aspect of delivery of computers to all the locations which were identified across
And
the
many of
Northeast.
them were so remote, my goodness.
Yes, yes. And arranging gate passes, payment of sales tax, for example,
Yeah.
each state had its own rules. It's not like the common GST of today.
Yeah.
Each we had to arrange sales tax receipts for payment of sales tax and gate passes for each of the states. So right at the border, your truck with the computers is stuck because all papers may not be in order. Then, of
Mm,
course, you remember, unlike the computers of today, which you can just plug and play,
mm,
there they were in those days. It was very specific about where the computers could be installed.
mm.
It had to be installed inside a chamber which had air conditioning. So
Yes, yes.
here, uh, even our branch in charge did not have air conditioning,
Yes.
and we are telling that our machine has to have air conditioning.
I remember.
Air conditioned
I
environment.
remember, in fact, we
Yeah.
guys, we were the officers. We used
Yes.
to be quite jealous of some
Yeah.
of the, the lower cadre people who had the
Correct.
privilege of sitting all day in the
Yes.
sweltering heat in the AC room, and we didn't have access to it. Many of
Yes.
us, of course, I was in IT, so I, I could, but
Yeah.
I had the same privilege.
Yeah. And then came this requirement that each office had to have a three-phase line. Till then, we were having maximum two phases,
Mm,
or even many of our offices were just on one phase. One phase was for the lights and fans,
mm,
one dedicated phase for the AC,
mm,
and one dedicated phase for the computers. So here
mm.
we are having to apply to the electricity board to relay, to get permissions and also
Yeah,
for relaying of the
it was a
electric lines.
Herculean task.
Yes. We
Oof.
were also beset with earthing issues in some of the offices.
Mm.
In a couple of offices, our printer and the computer which was placed burnt out because earthing was not as per specifications. And to add
Oh,
to those, there was also landlord issues. Many of the officers, landlord clearly told us he's not agreeable to allow us to set up any of our computers, to allow new phases of lines to be put, electric lines,
mm,
to allow a chamber to be built. So we had to overcome landlord issues. Then there
mm.
was the aspect of any problem being faced in any of the offices. How long did a vendor take to reach that spot? So you have a problem in one office,
Yes.
it may take weeks to actually rectify it. So a lot of
And
issues
and
there.
probably those days there were not many vendors also.
Yes,
Very
very
limited
few
number of
vendors.
vendors also.
In fact, we were the company where some of the vendors opened up their offices in Guwahati to look after 7 states. So
Yeah.
we were the company which, because of our orders, that vendors actually ventured out of the metros and came into the Northeast. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
software installation issues and also arranging for training, there was uh, the aspect of
Mm.
us being, most importantly, everything was new, everything was an unknown factor. We, the
Yes.
initiators, were ourselves learning as we went ahead. So it's not that we
Yeah.
were having great knowledge and we were imparting it to others. We were
Mm.
on the same boat as the ones who were being trained. So those are
Yeah,
the
but
wonderful
means
challenges which we overcame. And
mm,
yes, Avinand?
means with so many challenges on different fronts, on the rules, regulations, the states, administrations, all that you said just now, the hardware, the installation, the training, the software. I mean, how
Yeah.
did you overcome those challenges? How could you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, we had to use some very intricate mix of measures. So some were at a very local level. You cannot get instructions on certain things.
Hmm,
And some were taken at a corporate level. So, say, for example, here's a computer you have unboxed and it is
hmm,
placed. Now,
hmm.
how do you convince an employee to go and sit in front of it?
Yes.
So the first thing is to get them out of any anxiety they have from this
Hmm.
strange looking machine which is coming for the first time in the office.
And in
So
their lives,
yeah,
they've
in
never
those
seen a computer.
yes. So in those initial days, we had to relax some of the office protocols. For example, we allowed employees to play games, maybe watch videos, maybe
Oh,
even listen to music.
hmm.
So
Wow.
once they actually felt the keyboard, and it really helped that the keyboard was uh, matching the same setup as a typewriter. So they
Yeah,
found that
the QWERTY keyboard, as they
yeah,
say.
the QWERTY keyboard, correct.
Yeah.
So it greatly helped that, once they got a feel of this computer, they realized that this is something which is not going to be bad for the office.
Hmm.
This is something they can easily, understand. They understood the keyboard, the keys, and very shortly we got them out of that anxiety which was there,
Hmm.
handling computers.
Hmm.
And the fact that our, head office then gave a computer increment for all for each and every employee. It was called
Hmm.
a computer increment. So It brought some sort of motivation.
Yeah.
And then, on top of that, there was a very specialized cadre of programmer, which
Okay.
was set up for the employees. So
Hmm.
there was an element of competition which was built up for
Yeah.
employees, and
Hmm.
that greatly helped. These are, it's a slew of measures. It's not, and it took a little time. It was not that overnight people started becoming comfortable with computers.
Yeah.
In that 88, 89 phase, 1988, 89, we did a lot of things which finally set us up for the long and exciting journey ahead. So gradually, through an organized program of training, we were able to have a larger pool of computer literate employees and
Yeah.
lay the foundation for this exciting journey ahead in computers. And
Yeah.
one of the features which one of the, I must say, one of the softwares which really helped us in those initial days were these modules on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. There's quite a lot of excitement learning this.
Hmm.
And even a typist, for example, he had to retype an entire sheet because of a grammatical mistake or some mistake.
Yeah.
Here is a software which was allowing you to make all your changes and then print out. So,
Yeah. I always say that
yeah.
the best gift of Bill Gates to us is the undo button.
Yes,
The fact that
absolutely.
you can undo.
Oh my, yeah, absolutely right, Avinand. That is so true. That is so true. So Excel helped us with our formulas and calculations,
Yeah.
and PowerPoint took us to such a different level of presenting our company, presenting to our customers or to any of the chairmen of organizations where we were going to present a particular policy,
Yes,
a
yes, yes.
engineering policy or fire insurance policy, and we
Yeah.
could do it in a very professional manner and in an interesting manner rather
Correct.
than remember the overhead projector we used to have till then, where we used
Yes.
to have to write on those sheets, those
Yes.
transparent sheets with a
Yes, yes,
particular
yes.
type of pen.
I remember those were the olden days, and a lot has changed.
Yes,
In fact, that is a thought which comes directly from the experiences which you related. That
yes,
we all started in the pre-computer era, and I'm
correct,
not only saying, as you know, not only saying about the insurance industry. It was about India, our country. Our
yes,
country was pre-computerized when we joined the industry of insurance,
right.
and it's been a long journey. Now, having traveled this far, where do you think we have reached today in terms of embracing technology? Means, how has the insurance industry evolved in terms of technological adoption or embrace? How would you
Right.
say that?
Yeah, it's been a good 3 decades since that initial challenging phase. And in the initial period, a computer would just keep a database, and perhaps it was meant just to generate a insurance policy or maybe even a money receipt.
Mm,
We were doing only the minimum basics using a
yeah.
machine. And most of the work, especially those with the elements of judgment,
Mm,
in underwriting or claims,
mm,
not even thought possible by machine. Computers
yeah.
were looked upon as efficient and obedient, but dumb slaves.
Yes.
But over the last 3 decades, see how technology has turned uh, into a complete 360-degree package,
Mm,
touching almost every area of our day-to-day operations.
mm,
We have every major function automated, and
yes.
the benefit for us is it reduces time, it guarantees accuracy, it improves efficiency,
Yes.
and very importantly, it reduces, if not eliminates, fatigue and boredom by automating repetitive tasks.
Yeah.
I want to just give you an example. When I joined the company, we were having these massive premium claims register, daily cash register. And
Mm.
Avinand, I can tell you these registers were almost bigger than the table on which they were being placed. With multiple columns.
to the
And
to the to the present day generation,
Yes.
This will give a very, picturesque description of what it was and what it is today.
Yes.
The register is bigger than the table.
Yes. But technology has gone much further than merely that.
Yeah.
The journeys from the days of standalone machines
Hmm.
to getting all computers in an office under local area network, now having all our systems, and when I say all our systems, it is 15,000 systems across the length and breadth of our country, which is now in a
Yes.
wide area network.
Yeah.
And what does this enable us? It enables our core insurance solutions
Hmm.
and anytime, anywhere insurance.
Yes.
Uh, I'll just give you a small example.
Hmm.
There is a person who has a vehicle in Delhi. He's
Hmm.
transferred to Calcutta. He comes to the Calcutta office for his renewal.
Hmm.
In the past, he would have to renew his policy in the original office where he took it. So he would
Wow.
have to do it in the Delhi office.
Hmm.
Now, with this wide area network and anytime, anywhere, core insurance,
Hmm.
he can go to any single office of national insurance, and we
Hmm.
have 1400 offices. He can
Hmm.
do it in any of those offices. So that
And
is a
also,
small
also maybe,
example
also
of how.
maybe, I don't know, he may be able to apply for that renewal online itself from the comfort of his
Yes,
home.
yes, he can do it online also. So
There you have it.
he doesn't necessarily have to visit an office. That information is now available on his mobile
Hmm.
on a Sunday at 11 o'clock at night. He
Hmm.
can renew his policy.
Yes.
So the
And that's,
greatest change probably in the last 5 years has been the fact that 3 out of 4 retail policies are now being generated digitally. And I'm talking for the industry.
yes.
That is through online portals and apps.
Yes.
See, but I want to tell you a small difference between mobile apps and banking apps. And that is a challenge we have
Hmm.
as an insurance company,
Hmm.
Abhinand. See, a mobile app for a bank is used by a customer throughout the course of the year.
Hmm.
So, unlike a app which is there for insurance renewal, so
Hmm.
insurance renewal may be just for the time of renewal. So,
Yes.
the popularity of apps has not caught on to the level that we expected. And when we tried to analyze the reason, it
Hmm.
was that engagement has to be there with a customer throughout the course of the year. So
Hmm.
just having a mobile app for renewal is not going to serve a purpose. No one is going to
Hmm.
just download an
Correct.
app only for renewal. You
That is
have
that
to
is
have
a
some
really
useful,
astute
yes,
observation. Yes. And
yeah. You
this,
need to have
this.
some engagement. You need to have giving him information. You need to provide him some tips
Hmm.
on safety features. So constantly make him come back to the app so that he feels it worthwhile to have that app. So this is one big
Yes.
difference we found.
And
And you,
I would imagine, or rather, yeah, I would imagine that this challenge
yeah,
is not on the technology side of it. It's more on the social psychology side of it.
absolutely right, Avina.
So that
So
makes it all the more difficult.
So it is not just about bringing out an app, but having a full-fledged, engagement with
Hmm.
which we have a department, we have a social media wing of our company, which engages at various levels using
Hmm.
all the various tools which are there. So
Hmm.
that is another aspect that we've had to look at. And today's customer is
Hmm.
so aware
Hmm.
about what is available in the market, at what rate it is available, what are the
Correct.
discounts which are there.
Hmm.
So we really need to be right up there with our engagement. Yeah.
Correct.
And
Correct.
renewal, I must tell you that renewal of your policy can be done by just clicking on a link sent on an SMS and making the payment sitting in the comfort of your home. So the renewal link sent, previously he would have had to come to the office, maybe spend a couple of hours completing
Hmm.
all formalities. And here
Yes.
it is a matter of a couple of minutes.
Yes.
So the big
Well,
change,
it's really,
yeah,
it's really, it's
the
it's
big
it.
change is the fact that everything is now on your fingertips. And a
Hmm.
customer has to rarely visit an insurance office for anything to do with insurance policy.
And
So even,
from the layman's point of view,
yeah,
I was more engaged in the insurance industry myself, and even now, one
Yeah.
thing in this which it always strikes me is that of all the various industries or the BFSI sector, if you will,
Yeah.
insurance is the one which is an emergency service. Like, let's
Very.
say, an ambulance. When there is an accident, you want immediate action. You can't wait. You don't want to stand. You are very stressed, and therefore, the app of insurance would come into play then, more
Yes.
than for once in a year events like a renewal. Say,
Yes.
because a lot of my friends and my industry peers have told me, uh, regarding referencing the COVID situation also, which
Correct.
nobody knew where it was, what it was, and where it came from, and suddenly it's a big wave of pandemic.
Yeah. You're so right, Avinand. In fact, we had to use technology to see how quickly the admission process into a hospital could be completed. There are two
Mm.
aspects, which
Yeah.
are very big pain points for a customer is admission to a hospital and discharge from a hospital. So here
Mm.
again, it was a three-way, almost four-way, you can say. It was between the hospital, the TPA, the insurance company. We
Mm.
had to all link systems to ensure that the time taken to admit a patient was reduced, the
Mm.
time taken to discharge a patient was reduced.
Mm.
So these again, technology played a big role in this, and we had to improve services, especially in the last 18 months,
Mm.
uh, thanks to COVID. So COVID
Mm.
has played a role in us, all companies,
Mm.
uh, using various digital ways to improve the look and feel of their services for all customers. So here, when we are talking about policies, we also have to look at the claims. So claim settlements have also become automated with the process of, the entire process, whether you look at it from intimation of claims,
Yeah.
deputation of a surveyor, assessment of a claim,
Mm.
and payment directly to the bank account of the claimant.
Yes.
All these are now being majorly handled by the core insurance software adopted by each company. So,
Mm.
in effect, what is it that has benefited the customer? I would say
Mm.
is the fact that he doesn't have to step into a insurance office either to take his
Yes.
policy or to get
Yes.
his claim. And
Yeah.
that is something which is uh, the the big change which has happened from the past. In the
Yeah.
past, insurance was known to be a very personalized service where everyone
Mm.
had to know somebody and everyone had to come to the office.
Yeah.
Today's customer, the typical customer, and if you go by India's population,
Yeah.
it says that two-thirds of India's population
Mm.
is below the age of 35. And I can assure you this segment of population,
Mm.
for them, they have the knowledge in their tips of their hands.
Mm.
Time is of the essence,
Yes.
and service from from the mobile itself, rather than
Yes.
having to go to office.
Yeah.
This is what this generation wants. So unless a company adopts to this major segment of the customers, which is
Yes.
now there, you're
Mm.
not going to be there in the future as an insurance company. So it
Yes.
is a fact
So,
that we have to
yeah.
look at
So
the
on
niche
this
segment.
on this very exhilarating note, if I may say,
Yeah,
uh, Peter, I think we can take a little break now. And when we
absolutely.
come back on the other side of the break, see,
Yeah,
here we have talked about the past and the present, but I certainly would like you to take me to the future of insurance.
right. Looking forward to catching up again.